Moms who know do less so they can focus on what matters most, taking care of themselves, their families, and living their God-given purpose. Moms who know focus on the little things they can do that grow to have a huge impact. You are connecting with your family, your true self, and your God-given purpose. You are a mom who knows. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and my guest today is Paige Fieldsted. I am excited to have her on the show today to talk about body positivity. And when I heard about her work and what she does, I was really excited because she is a body positivity advocate. And I just feel like this is so prevalent with moms. You hear it all the time with women, really, in general, just talking down about our bodies and not being in a good place with our bodies. And I love her positivity, her upbeat attitude about her body. And I think she has a lot to teach us. So Paige, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, great. Let me tell us a little bit more about you, and then we'll get into this great conversation. So, Paige lives in Utah with her husband and two sons. She's an author, a blogger, a body positivity advocate, and she believes that all women deserve to love and appreciate the body that they're in right now, and that people of all shapes and sizes are worthy of love and respect. One of the things that she said is this, and this really stood out to me. She said, "Motherhood has given me the gift of finally being able to love my body." Paige, I love that so much because I think that for a lot of women, it can be the opposite. Our bodies change in motherhood, in carrying a baby, and a lot of times we're holding on to a lot of extra, right? I'll just leave it there. We're holding on to a lot of extra. So why did motherhood help you love your body, and how did it do that?
Yes. So I have always, not always, but until probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I've always had a negative relationship with my body. I was always the chubby, overweight one growing up. I started dieting like as long as I can remember, like 10, 12, 13, like at a really young age, started trying to lose weight, and it never really, like you'd lose some and then you gain it back. And I just went through that cycle for years and years and years. And when I got pregnant with my first son, who just turned 4 in August, I was at like probably one of the heaviest non-pregnant weights I had ever been. And I went through that whole pregnancy still really just hating my body. Like every time I went to the doctor and had gained more weight, it was just like defeating. And it was sad. I was like I actually wrote about this, that my hatred for my body really stole my joy from that pregnancy. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't really focus on the fact that I was growing a whole new human in me because I just hated my body so much. And the day I had my son, I was at the heaviest I've ever been. And I remember looking at the pictures my doula had taken of us 2 minutes after my son was born. And I remember when I looked at him, the first thing I thought was, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, look at this new human. It was like, my face looks disgusting and I can't believe how big my belly is. Like I had like literally just birthed a child and these are my thoughts. And that is what I would say was like the lowest point in my journey. And then I had a really scary medical experience when that baby was 3 months old. And I remember after that had happened, sitting in the dark in my living room, holding him and kind of just like anxiety from that medical experience, just crying. But I just looked at him and it dawned on me, like my body created this little human and like, that is a miracle. And so that was kind of like, it like dawned on me, like, no matter how much I had hated my body and no matter how much I had wished it would be skinnier or faster or whatever in my whole life, like it had created this little human. And that was like a miracle. And so that was kind of just the beginning of my journey. And it's gone through ups and downs and ups and downs. But like finally realizing like your body grew this human and that's incredible was just like the beginning of it for me.
Yeah, I can relate so much to this because I feel like, it's really interesting that it doesn't even matter what size and shape our bodies are in. We can have these feelings at any size, at any weight. And it's really interesting to me how that works. And that just really stuck out to me what you said, that you looked at yourself, you looked at that picture with your new baby. And what did you look at is your face, which you call disgusting, which just that breaks my heart. Does that now that you're in this different place, does that just make you sad to even hear that?
It does. It makes me like almost sick. Like instead of like looking at like my husband who is like has tears in his eyes because he's seeing our baby for the first time. And like instead of focusing on what was really important, I was stuck in this place of self-hatred. And like I said, it really just stole my joy from those moments, and it makes me incredibly sad.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think a lot of women are there. Now, you talked about kind of this shift. And I had a similar shift that, my listeners have probably heard before. I'm not going to get into that. But my question for you is this. After that shift and that moment, 3 months postpartum, when you kind of had this, the light, like, my body is miraculous and this is amazing that I have this body. How have you been able to stick to that and to remember that?
So I think, and anybody who follows me has heard me say this a million times, but it's a conscious choice you have to make every single day. Like there are plenty of days where I still look in the mirror and I'm just like, ugh. But like, it's just like a choice to like remember and be appreciative for all the things your body does, not just growing and birthing humans, but like every single day. I mean, it's incredible for me to think about all the things my body does without me even thinking about it. I mean, it's digesting food and breathing, and my heart is beating, and I don't really have to think about when I want to get up off the couch. Like my body just does it. And that, like, thinking about all those things is just incredible to me. So it's just like I have to choose to focus on that. It's easy, so easy to focus on, oh, my knee hurts today, or oh, these pants fit last week and now they're kind of tight today. And it's really easy to focus on the negative. So I have to make a conscious choice to focus on the positives and choose to see positives when before I used to only see negatives.
Yeah. Any specific ways that you do that? Like, is there any way that is it just monitoring your thoughts, or is there something more that you do to make that choice?
So a lot of it is monitoring my thoughts, just when those old negative thoughts sneak in, just really stopping myself. And sometimes, especially when I was pregnant with my second baby, those thoughts would creep in and I would literally have to say to myself out loud, Paige, stop. Like, your body's growing a human being. It's all going to be fine. And I would say that out loud to myself and really like make myself stop thinking those negative thoughts. Because like I said, it's so easy, especially if you've been stuck in that habit for a really long time. It's so easy to go back to that place. I think the other thing that I have been trying to work on lately is to really take care of myself from like a place of love. So there's always, especially this time of year, like about not gaining weight over the holidays or get your summer body or whatever the new gimmick is. But for me, it's just like I feel better when I move and when I walk or do yoga or whatever it is than when I just sit on the couch all day. And I feel better when I drink more water instead of coffee all day. And so I try and focus on those things that make me feel better, but not necessarily from a place of like, oh, I need to lose weight and I hate my body, so let's only eat celery today. It's more of like, let's take care of my body in the way that it needs to be taken care of.
Yes. Oh, so good. And such a difference that little shift in thinking makes when you take care of yourself, when you love, the way that I say is love yourself enough to do those things. Love yourself enough to move. Love yourself enough to drink that water. I love that. Okay. So you talk a lot about body positivity. I would love for you to break it down for us. What does that mean to you? What is body positivity? And also, what is it not?
Okay. And my definition might be a little bit different from some others. So there is a whole body positivity movement. And the focus of that is really getting underrepresented and unrepresented bodies that haven't been represented in the media before, like in the media and in, so like basically like expanding the pool of quote unquote acceptable bodies. And that's kind of what the whole body positivity movement is about. But for me, body positivity is really a freedom. Like it's given me a freedom to live my life and go about the things that I want to do without that mental baggage of constantly thinking about what I look like and constantly thinking about my outfit and how I'm going to lose weight and what I ate and what I'm going to eat and all those things. Like I didn't realize how much mental space that was taking up until it was gone. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I spent so much time worrying about all these things that in the long run really don't matter. And so for me, body positivity is that freedom to, like I said, just go about living my life, doing all the things I was always waiting to do until I lost the weight. I feel like there were so many things I was like, well, I'll do that when I get to this weight, or I'll do that when I get to this weight. And that's like a ridiculous thing to do. So like just freeing up that mental space for me is what body positivity is about at its core. And I think what body positivity is not is the biggest criticism I see of body positivity is that it's encouraging you to like let yourself go, or it's celebrating obesity. And I don't think that could be farther from the truth. It goes back to what I said just a few minutes ago. For me, actually appreciating my body has given me the chance to take care of it from a place of love, and I'm probably not necessarily like the healthiest in terms of like weight and stuff like that, but I have the healthiest mindset and I'm taking care of myself in a healthier way than I have in a long time, just because it's not about what the scale says and it's not about eating the fewest calories I can. It's about actually taking care of my body. And so I think those people that say, oh, body positivity is just giving yourself an excuse to be fat and happy about it is completely wrong from my perspective.
Yeah, you just hit on something that I think is so huge. You started to say, you said, I'm at the healthiest I've ever been. Well, not with my weight. And I think that is so key. We equate health with weight. We equate health with a certain look, but really, I think, let go of that like addendum there. You are at the healthiest you've ever been, right, because you feel the best, because you're doing the best for your body. And I believe when we do the best for our body, our body will be the way it needs to be. And like we in our society need to let go of that. Mm-hmm. Now you talked about the body positivity movement. And mm-hmm. I think we're starting to see more, different bodies in the media. I feel like Dove was the big one that kind of mm-hmm. started with all the different, body sizes and shapes. And we're seeing that more. And how has that impacted you as you have gone through your journey?
I think it's amazing. And it has really, I think there's still a ton of work to do in that area. I would be lying if I said we were like doing amazing, but like, I think we've made tons of strides. And I think for me, it's nice to see bodies that kind of look like mine represented. And it's like, oh, if I go shopping for some clothes online, like I can see a model that actually looks kind of like me, and like, oh, I can see what that outfit would look like. And it makes me excited less for myself than it does for like younger girls growing up. Because when I was growing up, there was never anyone that looked like me in advertisements, on TV, in magazines. And it's kind of like, it makes you feel like there's something wrong with my body because I don't look like these people. And so it's just so encouraging to see that change coming about. And it gives me so much hope, like I said, for the generation that's growing up now, that they can see their body represented and know that there's nothing wrong with them and that they don't need to change their body, but that bodies come in various shapes and sizes and that that's okay.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up this younger generation, because I feel like this is something we absolutely, especially as moms who have struggled with our body image, we don't want our kids to go through this same thing. So any thoughts on how we can teach our children to be body positive?
Yeah, so I think probably one of the biggest things, and I have boys, so it's a little bit different than, because I know girls tend to struggle with this more, but I think regardless of what gender of child you have, is to not talk negatively about your body or other people's bodies, especially in front of them. Like if I'm learning anything with my 4-year-old, it's that they are always listening. Whether you think they're paying attention or not, they're listening to what you say and they're picking up on what you say. And if you are tearing down your own body or the bodies of other people's, they're going to learn that from you. And so I think that would probably be one of the biggest things. And I think the other thing is to really focus on teaching them that, like, it's just disrespectful to talk about people's bodies in general, because I know like a couple months ago I was camping and my niece was like, said something about someone being fat, and my little sister, her mom, was automatically like, rude, that's not nice, like we don't call people fat. And that's fine, but if you teach them, if you only do that when they comment on people that are large, or only when they say that that person's fat, then they're going to learn to associate that fat's a bad thing. So instead, when my son makes comments about people's bodies, any bodies, I just tell him, like, it's not nice for us to talk about people's bodies. That's their personal space. And it's not respectful. So we don't talk about people's bodies at all. I try not to reprimand him if he says, oh, that person's so fat. I just say, hey, we don't talk about other people's bodies, and try and keep it as neutral as possible, especially when they're talking about terms like fat that have traditionally been associated with, like, that's a bad thing and being mean, and just try to really make it neutral and like, we don't talk about people's bodies at all.
Yeah.
And then the same thing about kind of like celebrating your own body and what it could do, but teach them to do the same thing. So for girls, boys, whatever, like teach them to celebrate, oh, look, you can run so fast, or you're so strong, or you're really good at drawing, or whatever it is that their strength is. Like really get them to focus on that and less on, I can't do this, or that girl's faster than me, or whatever it is they're comparing. Really get them to focus on their strengths and get them to celebrate what their body can do as well.
Those are such good tips. I feel like when we teach them it's disrespectful to talk about other people's bodies, I think that that's an area where we as women can do better. We can do so much better. And one way that I have learned to do this in my own life, I used to be that person. Like if someone lost weight, I would be number one to, oh my gosh, you look so good. Oh, you lost weight. I don't do that anymore. And sometimes, when you're with someone and they've been working so hard and they've like lost weight, and they're almost waiting for you to say it. I feel like sometimes I choose not to say it anymore because number one, that's not the most important thing about them. And number two, I don't want them to think that that is what I'm looking at, because what I've realized is when we're saying that, then when we're quiet, when they've gained weight or, something, it's like that should not be a compliment.
No,
and it's
I've talked
really
about that a lot.
Oh,
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Have you lost weight or whatever is not a compliment. And I get pushback every time I talk about that, because everyone's like, oh, but I want you to acknowledge that I've worked really hard. And that just, for me, goes back to that diet culture mindset that thinner is better. But it's like you said, like then if they haven't lost weight, or they've been the same size for years and you never say anything, then what? Then they're just like, oh, okay. Or another thing is like, if you compliment someone on their weight loss and they're like, oh, you look so amazing. Like it kind of sends a message like you didn't look amazing before.
Yes.
And I hate that. So I totally agree with that. And I'm glad someone's on the same page with me.
Another thing that I've thought of is it's only, you can only lose weight for so long, right?
Exactly.
It sets you up for it sets you up to fail because, oh, you look so good. You've lost weight. Oh, well, I better lose more. So I keep looking good. And you can't lose weight forever. And so there's this point where you can't get that compliment anymore. I don't know. It just kind of sets you up to be in a bad place. So I love that you are focusing on that. Just teach your kids it's disrespectful to talk about other people's bodies. Let's just don't even go there. I think we can do better at that as moms. I love that. Okay. I would love to go into, I know you have 3 tips to help moms love their bodies. And as you guys are listening to Paige today, I know that some of you are feeling like, oh, yes, I'm in that place. I am not in a place where I love my body. I think these thoughts all the time. And so listen up. Let's hear, let's go ahead and go, Paige, through these 3 tips that you have for moms to really make a change.
Okay. And a couple of these I've kind of touched on, but number 1, I think would say it would be stop the comparison game, especially if you're comparing yourself to people on social media, celebrities, basically anyone other than like someone you actually know in real life. But don't compare yourself to them either, because social media especially is only a highlight reel of someone's life. If you think about what you post on social media, it's usually like the best of the best. And comparing yourself to celebrities is just not fair, because they have advantages and chefs and personal trainers and nannies and things that most of us just don't have access to. And so I think to just stop that comparison game. If that means you have to unfollow your favorite fitness chick for a couple months while you get back in a good headspace, then do it. But just stop comparing your body to anybody else's, because your body and your story is completely unique, and how your body changes after postpartum and after having a baby is going to be different than how anybody else's does. So number 1, stop comparing yourself. Number 2 would be to, like I kind of mentioned, is focus on health and wellness and taking care of yourself from a place of love versus I'm trying to get my body back, or I need to get back to this size in this shape, but really focus on what makes you feel good and being healthy. For me, it's like those little boys have so much energy and I need to be able to keep up with them. So like that's kind of my motivation, is to really be healthy and feel good. And if that happens to result in some weight loss, great, but like that's not my focus. And everyone always talks about getting your body back, but I've seen lots of things recently that's like your body never went anywhere. It's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's changed. I mean, I think it's kind of unrealistic for us as women to expect that our body is going to go back to exactly the way it's been before after having 1 or 2 or 3 or however many kids. Like your body rearranged itself to grow a whole new human being. Like to think that it can go back to the way it was before is, in my mind, a little bit unrealistic. So just focus on that health and about feeling good, and make it less about getting your body back, because it never really went anywhere.
I love that.
The third one is to be grateful for your body. But I mean, especially as moms, I mean, for me, like I said, it was a huge reminder to just look at those little kids or that baby or whatever they are, and just remember, like, my body made them, and like just be really grateful for that. And even if you're not a mom, but just be grateful for the things your body does every day and the things it allows you to do. Like, did you get to get down on the floor and play with your kids today? Like, be grateful for those little tiny things that I think we often take for granted. Like, did you run around the block with your kids? Did you go to the park and play with them? Did you teach them how to do yoga? My 4-year-old loves to do yoga with me, and it's hilarious what he does, but just be grateful for those moments and the things that your body lets you do, and just keep that gratitude in the forefront of your mind as often as you can. And it just makes everything happier when you're focusing on gratitude instead of what you're missing. It's easier to be happy and to be like, oh, my body's okay. These little kids, like, and if all else fails, look at it through the eyes of your kid, because they love you and they love your body no matter what. So.
Yes, I love that so much. I think those are great tips and so, so important. And I want to come back to what you said earlier, which is these are a choice. Like maybe you're stuck comparing and you're focusing on weight loss and you're not grateful. You can choose. All these 3 tips are things that you can absolutely choose every day. Okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to choose something different. So I love what you've shared with us today. Tell people where they can find you and get more from you.
Yes. So the best place to find me would just be my website. It's paigefieldstead.com. I have a blog. There's some links to some books and stuff. And then all my social media links are on there as well. So just paigefieldstead.com is the best place to find me.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. And I ask all my guests this final question, which is this. We've heard a lot of great things today. And as people are pondering this and ready to put it into action, what one little thing do you hope that people will do differently or think about differently because of what you've shared today?
I think the biggest takeaway of anything I share is that I want people to just realize like this is the only life you get, and to stop waiting for whatever it is you're waiting for and just live now. Like stop waiting for that perfect jean size, or stop waiting to get your body back, or whatever it is you're waiting for to really pursue your dreams or do all the things you want to do. Like stop waiting and just do it right now. Like life is not going to wait for you. So stop waiting for something that doesn't really matter and just go live your life right now.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for being with us. I love the things you've shared. Yeah. And thank you everyone for listening to Moms Who Know. Such a good episode with Paige. I was talking to her after the show, and one of the things that I said is, you can never hear this message too much. We need to hear over and over, our bodies are good enough right now. They are worthy of love. They're worthy of treating right. I hope that this is sinking in for you guys because it is so, so important. So the biggest takeaway for me was actually a really personal takeaway today, and it was this. I need to be grateful for my belly. And, as I'm getting older, I feel like you can see that little mom pooch a little bit more. And I need to embrace it and love it. And every time I look at it, change that thought to, I am so grateful that that belly brought me all these babies. And I want to be sensitive here also to those of you who have struggled or are struggling with infertility. I want you to know that regardless of the challenges that you may have had bringing babies into this world, your body is also amazing. We all have things to be grateful for with our body. So my question for you is, what one little thing are you going to do differently or think about differently because of what you've heard today? Let me know on Facebook or Instagram. I love it when you share the podcast with others, share the one little thing that you're going to do to really cement it in and help yourself make those changes. Thank you guys for being here. I am so glad you're part of the show, and we'll see you next time on Moms Who Know.